Hey, good morning, everybody. BDF 44 coming at you with another video. All right. So, the conversation at hand is Stephen A. Smith coming to Jerry Jones' defense. And if you guys follow me, my therapy session, you know that I have no problem with Stephen A.'s point of view in regards to this particular situation for a very specific reason. And the reason why is because it's time that all of us pay attention to when other people's groups are being attacked on our behalf. And what does that mean? If the offense is pointed at me, that the person who is being attacked is supposedly engaging in, then I'm not supposed to see that what's taking place is an attack upon them. Jerry Jones, his situation looks racist against black folks. It's foolproof. It's true. His thing actually happened. So I don't necessarily, in most situations, look at the people who are holding him accountable and say anything to them. I immediately go to him and say, you're a bad guy. Well, in this particular era, we're paying attention to the people that are holding him accountable because they're behaving in a way that makes us look at them as if they're being alarming. They're behaving alarming for us right now in regards to how they're treating some of our favorite people, in regards to how they're treating some of our most disliked people. They're not acting right. They got their own thing going on, and it doesn't seem to align with what seems right and wrong to myself personally in regards to what I'm seeing. That's just me. And I think a lot of people are looking around seeing something similar, and they're seeing it the way that I'm seeing it, and they want change. It's not about whether or not Jerry Jones should be held accountable for anything. It's not about that. It's about whether or not those who are bringing this up right now are bringing it up for a reason that has anything to do with holding him accountable, but more so just continuing to engage in whatever mission they're on right now, which is to engage in enforcing their power, enforcing their policing. For whatever reason, they're being full-fledged or forcing what is it they do. And we're just seeing it all over the place. And the way that they've handled it has made it so that we know for a fact how they go about communicating what it is that they do. It was kind of hidden in plain sight until about 3 months ago, when Kanye started doing what he was doing, shined a light on them, and they proceeded to do what it is that they do when someone does that to them. They start acting up. Suspension here, money flying out of there, smear campaign there. They have abused their power in regards to communicating with the public and canceling people. And we're tired of it. And we want some balance restored, and we want our cancel culture to reflect the energies that come at us in regards to different people who are really evil versus different people who are trying to figure things out or growing in moments or, whatever. There should be some scale to measure these things that is better than the scale we're using, and the people who have control of that scale need to have that scale applied to them. Simply put, nobody's holding them accountable, and it shows. It simply shows. There's nobody giving them the treatment that they're giving others, and that is a bad system every time. Every time. I don't care what you're doing. If no one's policing the police, your situation is bound to be corrupt. I don't care what it is. I don't care what walk of life it is. I don't care what year it is. If you don't have somebody watching the people who watch everybody, they can be corrupted. So that has to be understood in every system, excluding no system. At least of all, the most important one. So I just look at this and I say, okay, they're pointing it at Jerry Jones, Stephen A. Smith. It's hard to tell where he's coming from because he talks from behind the curtain a lot of times. But as I've been paying close attention as of late, he's been taking some stances that have gone against the stances that they've often wanted him to take. Now, I've also said that a lot of the subordinates that they've been using have been flip-flopping. But it seems like Stephen A., to me, is trying to distance himself from some of the stuff that he was otherwise attaching himself to on their behalf in the past. That's what it looked like to this fan here. That since he's had whatever change in regards to Kyrie Irving, that his stances on a lot of things in that vein have changed as well. And I think either he's, legitimately seeing things differently, and is starting to believe that there's a path outside of the curtain, so to speak, that isn't from behind the curtain, that could get him all the things that ultimately keep him being Stephen A. Because I think that's what it is. Personally, just looking at it, I think he's one of those guys that say, you know what, I'm rolling until they not winning no more. That's what he comes off as to me. Like, nah, they side ain't winning no more. The tide is turning. He gets it. This time to slide onto the winning side. So, you know what I mean? He's with the power, it seems to me, man. And it seems like those behind the curtains, power is starting to slip. And he's recognizing it. And that's what I'm gathering. You know, for a person like myself, and this is something I've had to understand and come to grow to understand. White supremacy, as it's understood by myself, is not something that is as easy as to say white people uphold it. And for a long time, I engaged in that type of stupidity, thinking that that's what it was, or walking around as if that didn't require more thought than what I was giving it, to be more exact. And as I look at the situation now, I realize that's not what keeps it going. White supremacy, as I told you guys, in my mind, not as an official definition, but in my mind, represents who created the practice and the compliance and the fear tactics and all of that stuff that keep it going. It was created initially, probably in the 1400s, 1300s, or even earlier, by people who were not black. And that's why, in my mind, it's considered white supremacy, because it was white people who were engaging in that energy that started the stumbling imbalance of all of this that we see today in regards to these type of things, and maybe probably other things as well, as history has often eluded the truth from us in regards to them. But now it's kept up by people who look like me, people who look like all different shades, man. They have their own interests wrapped up in maintaining the order of things. And the order of things, its foundation is the practices of white supremacy. So that's what it is. It's like people have, instead of revisiting what it is that they're doing, they just continue to do things that work, as we always talk about. So it's like, if treating people poorly is going to keep us all rich, then we're going to treat people poorly. It's like it's low frequency, but it's really as simple as, I'm afraid of things going bad, so I'm going to do what works. You know what I mean? And I'm the main character, as a lot of people like to say right now. I'm the main character, so, it's about taking care of my family and my village. And if your village burns down, then God bless you. It's a game of survival. Do what you got to do. But the math doesn't work. If we could all stay in our little groups and hold our little flags and stand behind those flags, and anybody comes near us, we just have to defend ourselves against at all costs, then that's a good formula. But that's not how the world works. That's not how we do business. That is not how we love. That ain't how people travel. That ain't how people resettle. So we need to do away with the old, it takes 7 months to get to your country type of mentality that we often engage in. Do you understand what I'm saying? The stuff that we do in regards to treating people the way that they did back in the 1700s, it would take 7 months to get to someone's country, man. Like, do we have to take into account how long it takes for information to get to people? Context and understanding was missing, so they couldn't capture it. If they would have had the tools that we had in the times that they were in, they would have developed a different system from which to work, because it wasn't necessary for them to work that way. I'm telling you, people have been doing things that work for the longest time. Godless stuff, man. And the only compassion they have is for the stuff that matters to them. And that's where we've gone wrong. I think we've all engaged in an idea that we think everybody is diabolical outside of what it is we agree with. But we've allowed those who are actually diabolical to tell us about those people and continue to spin the wheel by having us all confused about each other. So when I see somebody patronizing me in regards to, he said the N-word, let's burn him at the stake, I'm like, nah, he said the N-word, let's put him over to the side for a second to figure out if those who are trying to burn him at the stake are really good people. That's where my attitude is. We'll put everybody in purgatory for the time being. Ain't nobody going to hell, because the people who are sending people to hell, they ain't being checked. So that's what it is, man. I look at Stephen A. Smith coming to the defense of Jerry Jones, and I say that's exactly what Stephen A. Smith is engaging in. Even though he's been behind the curtain for so long, and it appears to be the same look when he takes this stance versus taking stances that he was taking on their behalf. But as far as I could tell, he's engaging in free thought. And what he sees is the people behind the curtain engaging in some bullshit that's supposed to patronize him. And I guess he's supposed to get on TV and bomb on Jerry Jones to, of course, satisfy people like myself, his people. And, of course, satisfy the people behind the curtain who are attacking Jerry. But the reality is, we see them. We see Jerry. But we also understand the context surrounding Jerry's situation. And if you look at the context, you got to ask yourself a few questions. Questions that should come to most people's mind. How old is Jerry in that picture? Is he 14 years old? Okay, he had a free enough mind to know that he probably shouldn't have been there. He had a free enough mind to know that you don't follow people doing wrong. But does he have a free enough mind to discern what's wrong and right when people who are grown, people in his household, people around him, his peers, are all engaging in the same social activities? But at 14 years old, do you suspect that he'll be a trailblazer, a genius enough to be unique and special enough of a young man to look at all of those people and run to the front of the line and say, stop all this? Can't you see we're doing wrong here? Can't you see this is going to look bad 70 years from now when I'm an NFL owner? Like, you think he was going to stop in that moment and bust up the entire mission for the entire situation so that they could jump him, turn him black and blue and call him an end lover at 14 years of age, when he has to go home and deal with that energy as well? Like, where would he be safe if he did what it is that I want him to do? Not to say that I'm sure, but just looking at it from afar, knowing what I know about times like that. If he would have done anything other than stand there and be quiet, he would have been an end lover and would have had to deal with a whole lot of hell. And in a historic moment at that, I'm not absolving him. I'm just saying there were a bunch of people around him who were older than him, who were more in control of circumstances than him, who we need to hold accountable for the environment being the way that it is. And then we look at them and say, why didn't you teach that child better? You raised him in a way that would allow him to be hated later on for the stuff that y'all upheld. Shame on you, grown people around him. Shame on you, his ancestors that engaged in the slave trade and engaged in treating people poorly because of their colors. You made it normal for him to be in that space. And because of it, in 2022, he's being looked at as a racist because of you. His ancestors, people who said they loved him, people that said that they was on his side, people that said that they ride with him as his race people or what have you. That's energy that y'all were engaging in, trying to keep people from getting educated. Education that you would likely shun them for not having. That same environment is now why he's looked at as a slimy racist. And that's exactly what he is, but it ain't his fault. And that's what the people behind the curtain don't want me to see. They don't want me to put that into my equation as I assess what it is that they're doing to him. But that's where my head's at. I'm not thinking about him being a slimy racist. Everybody back there next to him was a slimy ass racist. And where is he today? Wherever life has taken him 70 years later. Could he still have harbored those same thoughts? Yes. And if he does, should he be held accountable for how he treats people that look like me? Yes. By whom is the question now? By whom? I don't think I'm the guy that should be holding him accountable, but those who are holding him accountable, again, who is holding them accountable? Who's counting their crimes? Who's looking at what they can benefit from and say, are they moving in such a way to make sure that they're aligned a certain way? Or are they a ghost in the room we're not supposed to know is there as they continue to make moves that affect what it is that we're looking at? I mean, this is something that I'm literally seeing. In no other walk of life can you have an entity making moves and making money and nobody looks at them. But in this situation, we're behind the curtain. And so when Stephen A. Smith speaks out on behalf of what it is that he believes is taking place, which is an injustice against Jerry Jones that extenuates his flaws as a person at 14 years of age, just for the betterment of a random agenda that's taking place in a random year like 2022. He has stuff that could have been in Earth in any moment in the past 70 years, and pictures could have came out at any moment when he bought the team, when they won their first championship, second championship, third championship, all the 90s. Could have brought them photos out at any time. You know you had them. They've always been there. But y'all decided to bring them out now when y'all engaging in this Kanye, Kyrie crap and people starting to look at y'all funny. So what you need is to show us examples of why it ain't just pointed at black people. See, you can attack white people too, and we're supposed to be like, oh, it's balanced, that's fine. Wrong. It's exactly why I said I think they should give that young white man who said the N-word in the little song that he was rapping. I forgot his name, but if you go back and look at my videos, I made 2 of them about it. They need to give him back his scholarship for that exact reason, not because I don't believe that, he's wrong in what he was doing. I think there's a way to communicate that he was wrong in what he was doing without the presence of the people behind the curtain telling him anything. You know what I'm saying? He can get the same understanding just from having a conversation with a bunch of people look like me. And he'll walk away feeling very confident. He should never say that shit again. Excuse my language. You see what I'm saying? He don't need to have his scholarship taken away. All that's going to do is drive him into being an actual racist. Now, when he thinks about his hopes and dreams never coming to pass, he's going to think about how it was his love for black culture that put him in that position. And those who are doing that to him know that. They know that. What they don't know is that I know that. They want to turn him into a racist. They want to turn him into a hateful person. They want to turn him into the very thing that they're saying they're trying to push him away from being. Because at 17, 18, whatever year of life he's in, they're trying to take his scholarship away because he liked a song. Because he happened to sing a song on camera that had a word in it that might offend a bunch of people. A word that is said in just about every song in the genre. So if he listens to any song in that culture, he's probably going to say that word one way or another. Why? Because those very same people who are vilifying him for saying the word invest in the people who say the word that he sings. They invest in the music that he was rapping. They are literally why he's saying the word. So as far as I can tell, nobody's holding him accountable. And that's why he needs to be given his scholarship back. This world is much bigger than the way they're behaving like it is. The example they're showing him of how the world is, that ain't how it actually is. You don't just say an N-word and then lose your scholarship. No, you have to be some people behind the curtain who are doing things improperly for that to transpire. Your words didn't cause you to lose your scholarship. Their abuse of power caused you to lose your scholarship. We need to start looking at these things the way that they need to be seen so that we can have these people from behind the curtain be held accountable. And most importantly, they can see why being held accountable is better for their math. Because they don't see that. They don't see how less headaches for them when transparency is found between us. They don't see it yet. That's a lack of faith. They still believe that if they don't control everybody, everything is chaos. And what I'm saying is you got to believe in God because he didn't create us like that. He didn't create us to be chaotic and unable to function without the presence of other men and women to control us and put bullcrap in our minds to make us agree with one another. Somebody who didn't have any faith and a lot of control applied that thought, and we never got away from it. Simple as that. You believe God exists, you do things differently because you don't have to do certain things that these people have been doing all this time because they believed there was no God. They thought they were God. They thought they had to be God because of it. That wasn't the case. There was an actual God. It always was. They didn't adhere to him like they were saying they would when they made this particular land. One nation under God. They lied about that. They didn't actually believe in God. They believed in their ability to be ambitious. They believed in their ability to put things together. They believed in their ability to defend themselves. They believed in their ability to mobilize stronger people, to create an environment from which they could get rich in and live in forever. That's what America is. Country built by people like me. And we still ain't got our back pay for that. And that's what's coming. And that's what people need to understand. When you start looking at lawsuits and the balance of things and everybody trying to sue everybody to make sure things make sense and all these different things we're voting on to assure that balance is restored, and the stock market and all these different things, people are trying to hold shares of manipulated stocks so they can reset the market and basically restore financial freedom to all of the world. All of this is happening right now, whether you know it or not. And what I'm telling you is there's a big piece of the math missing. Big piece of the math missing. And that is how the Western world was built and where the equity of those funds have actually gone. And when you start looking at checks and balances of everything, you're going to find out a lot of people are owed money they haven't gotten. And you can't maintain your law system. You can't maintain the integrity of what it is that you're doing until you make every single coin and every single number make sense and you know it. Now, y'all don't want to do it in this era. You may not want to do it 100 years from now, but eventually the rubber will meet the road with that hypocrisy too. And you can't make your financial situation make sense in this world until that money is restored to where it belongs. And y'all know it. So y'all don't have to call it reparations. You don't have to call it this and that. I don't say that I know how to make it make sense. All I'm saying is One of these days, we're going to have to. Because it's a lot of money in people's hands that don't belong to. Generational wealth. That wealth gap, it was cheated. That's the elephant in the room. The reason why black people are owed a great deal of the wealth in this world. A great deal of it. And if we sit down with a bunch of lawyers and break down every single thing that ever happened, you're going to find that it's probably going to be trillions of dollars going into funds coming out of people's, from behind the curtain into the funds of the regular people. I'm telling you, if you're going to do it right, that's what's going to end up happening. And that's what they're trying to prevent. The people from behind the curtain do not want us realizing how much we are owed. That's why they're trying to silence us. That's why they're using all these misdirection tactics. That's why they're getting on white folks, black folks, and anybody else that try to. They don't want to unearth this. They don't want people looking at how imbalanced things are in that way. The wealth gap is an illegal thing. That is not fair divvying of the wealth on this planet. And that needs to be understood. When black people are saying, oh, our wealth gap is so far, they owe us that, fam. Literally. BDF 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.